Good afternoon and good evening, everyone, and welcome to Link to Past Randomizer. We have a round of 64 match review between MistaEd and jmeasher, their first game here in the main bracket of the tournament. How's it going, folks? I am Wolfling037. Oh, jeez. And joining me on the mic tonight is Tiberius. How's it going?
It's going very well. I'm glad you broke the ice and hiccuped on those numbers first, because I inevitably would have. Well, so but it's going all right. Looking forward to this race.
That's right. And today, folks, we have a hard open race. So if you've seen the qualifier, you know what we're up for. But if this is your first time tuning in, let's just give you a quick breakdown here. So tournament hard item pool is a modified hard item pool. There are 20 hearts available, the majority of which, though, are heart pieces. There are only 6 total heart containers in the pool, including the Sanctuary Heart. In addition, we will not be seeing half edge or any armor whatsoever, and our shield and sword are captured, fighter, and tempered, respectively. Silver arrows are also no longer progressive, so we'll have to find those in addition to the bow in order to use them. And if we see a blue rupee, that is an item that has been removed from the item pool because we've hit our limit on them. All normal blue rupees have been removed from the pool otherwise. The only item that will overflow into a green pile of 20 rupees is the last sword. And one other thing we should mention, there are 4 bottles in the pool, but whichever we find our first one, it will be empty, and all other ones will be removed from the pool and replaced with those 5 rupees I just mentioned. Only 1 bottle for the seed.
Yeah, this mode really hits hard on execution, especially in the Ganon fight. And there's our 1 bottle already. Well then, but yeah, removing some of those safeties like the half magic and extra bottles, really, if you don't find those silvers, it makes Torch Glitch that much more important. So it will be interesting to see if these runners hit go mode before they have too many of the only safeties that are provided, to see what their strategy is.
Both runners rely on the poultry to get some early resources here, and both also doing the Uncle Start, which is a pretty common play you see in open mode. There's those 20 rupees there, and Uncle himself has another 20 rupees, so doing okay on money to start, but they'll need a little bit more for the merchant.
Yep, as long as they can get some bombs, they should be fine grabbing a couple of rupees more here coming up in Kakariko, but we'll see where these runners go from here. Likely a Sanctuary to Kak play, but we'll see. Looks like jmeasher doing that Sanctuary play gets paid off with the bomb, or paid out with the bombs rather. But MistaEd gonna be heading east here. Interesting play.
Yeah. I think MistaEd here is going for the assured bombs at the shop here, as well as checking the Lake Highly item, which is only 10 arrows. Also a pretty solid play here. This is a pretty quick stop for bombs, and leads well into an eastern play if he's going that way, or may double back into South Shore with those bombs. And we get a map check as well. Eastern is a 5-6, green pendant over a desert, and a blue crystal up at Tower of Hera.
Yeah, really interesting spread here in the light world, so we are still going to be having a pretty busy map check in the dark world, needing 1 more red crystal and 2 more pendants. But obviously we're a ways off on that. Is there anything in particular you're hoping to see in this seed, Wolflink?
I'm not really looking to see anything in particular. I'm just hoping this is a nice close race. It's still way too early to call it that, though. Back to the Hospitalist has the flippers, along with a little bit of extra resources. jmeasher does find a 50 rupees in the Lost Woods, though, so does have that bottle, does have that vendor money, rather.
Yep, and with those flippers, it looks like MistaEd is continuing that Kak skip play, probably hoping to find the flute, perhaps, before going over there, just to make life a little easier, but we'll see if that pays out or not here, as we're going to get some good checks from jmeasher in rapid succession.
Instead, starting with the Mini Moldworm Cave, you usually see Damned on first, so I'm thinking this is a Mini Moldworm westward play to check Agina.
Yep, I think you're hitting it right on the head there, Wolflink. Definitely a, hey, let's sort of orphan Ice Rod Cave, because I have those flippers, so I can always come back and loop Ice Rod in with more lucrative checks, and getting paid out with the mirror. That's nice to have early.
Meanwhile, nothing.
Or we're both wrong.
We're both wrong. That is definitely an interesting play here. He's gonna probably use the flippers to check the hobo under the bridge. Got a blue boomerang there from jmeasher, meanwhile, along with a few more bombs. Haven't found anything too important otherwise, though, from him.
Yeah, pretty dull Kakariko so far, but still a few checks left. A lot of those heart pieces already coming out, so I think jmeasher's about to get a refill on the next one. As, yeah, MistaEd putting those flippers to good use here.
100 rupees from the man of the bridge, as we see what the chicken house has, and that is our power glove. Very important item to find there.
Oh yeah, so glad we finally saw something in Kakariko.
Now we started that bottle, and jmeasher is about to turn it in, so let's see what that becomes. Just a heart piece. Now, with the fact that there's, what, 48 heart pieces now in the item pool, that does allow you to be a little bit tactical with picking up certain heart pieces in order to get yourself fully healed, because it's going to be one of the more reliable ways to do so. You want to make sure that you're not saving a red potion in that bottle, for example. You ideally want a green or a blue to restore your magic.
Yep, and it's one of those things, too, where this sort of modified item pool of having more pieces than full heart containers really makes the early game more difficult, and then, like you were saying, in the later game you still have that good deal of hearts, but then, you know, you might get a refill in Ganon's tower that you weren't expecting because of those extra heart pieces.
Raising it only 20 rupees, so not much value out of Kakariko Village, but we do need those gloves at some point.
Yep, if I were to guess, I think, yeah, jmeasher's putting them right to use and checking the back of escape here. Meanwhile, MistaEd, I mean, yeah, we have the flippers in that mirror, and now a Quake Medallion. So, you know, the CAC skip might actually be paying off here. Though only a B, though. The only thing that's not in MistaEd's favor right now is not having money for Zora, as we see jmeasher getting that Moon Pearl out of the back of Escape.
We also should note that because I mentioned the 5 rupees are gone for the pool, that the item that MistaEd just picked up is either the second bottle or one of the armor upgrades at this point. It can only be one or the other. So that's where one of them would have been if we did not remove them from the pool. Or force ourselves to be on green mail.
Very true, very true. Another thing of note is there was a key in the back of the escape there, so that glove is your intended way to the back. Having that key locked in the back of escape instead of in the front.
Bowfrunner's doing damn now. Interesting point of convergence here after all the other stuff that's been going on.
Yep, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, you know, early game, you're bound to do these checks eventually. So it should kind of match up a little bit here, but we'll see if Agina's Cave pays out at all, because I can definitely see jmeasher skipping that, whereas Ed's going to have that on his side. Ed, you're on restream. You don't have to spam the mirror.
I couldn't even tell.
It's just having fun, I guess. Something of note, you may notice, if you haven't seen a SpeedGaming race in a while, this doesn't sound like Link to the Past music, and that's because it's not. There's been a recent push by several people in the community to vet out different MSU packs So these runners, after playing the game, hundreds and hundreds of times, can get a little different music. So I believe you're hearing King of Fighters on MistaEd's side.
That's right, and if we ever switch over to jmeasher's music, I believe the approved pack that they are using is the Messenger, which I've played the Messenger. That is some good music.
Stun prize just 5 arrows today. That's not too great right now, but it's good information to have later on.
Yeah, definitely helpful if you need to reload after using silvers on Vitreous, or just the normal bow on Vitreous, really.
Yep, it's one of those things where, hey, if I have this knowledge, jmeasher, what's going on? Oh, realizes, I didn't even notice that. jmeasher realizing before going all the way to Saha's closet that he's out of bombs, so he's got to come back and refill.
Yeah, good catch there.
So part of me thinks, I mean, we have obviously the benefit of looking at both of these screens, Wolflink, but I mean, it kind of seems like progression might be locked in Eastern or the front of Escape here. I can't think of what else there is. So jmeasher might opt to go into Eastern here and scout that out.
That's throwing a bomb right there. But yeah, definitely Eastern feels like the strong play right now, considering everything else. What is MistaEd doing?
I think, and we can ask later, but I think he's just having fun, which is always nice to see.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, Eastern seems to be the only valid option right now, unless we have to grind money for Zora. That is an option with the gloves. To just grind the 50 Ruby Cave between the dam and Agina.
Yep, very, very true. Could do the Houlihan room trick with the glove in the graveyard. That's worth 225 rupees as well. But I don't know. It's either this or try and bomb escape.
Bomb escape's not really fun. I can see why our runners would be avoiding it.
Yep. One thing that does make it a little easier is that boomerang, being able to stun the guards that you are required to defeat. And jmeasher getting a really nice cannonball pattern there in the first room of Eastern. But that boomerang makes life just a little bit easier if you're not super comfortable with the escape bomb strats, which I know a lot of runners of this caliber are. But still, having something that's a little more consistent of a weapon to go through escape is always welcome.
Yeah, if there's any weapon I'd want to use, it's anything other than bombs for escape, to be honest.
Oh, I'm right with you there, Wolflink.
It's mainly because more often than not, if the dive is unsuccessful, you just have to go buy more. They're such a valuable resource in the early game. So far, nothing in Eastern Palace. We did have a very early big key, though, so we do have at least one item available, guaranteed. And we already picked up a second, or one of them as well.
Yep, or just that big key in the compass. Big key in the compass so far.
Yeah, that's right. And there's one. Let's see if the big chest as another item.
Yep. If it doesn't, then, that part of your brain starts to tick on of saying, all right, it's logically front of Escape or Zora, and I don't have the money for one, so, well, now they might.
I think they do, actually, yeah. Just barely enough money for jmeasher to go pay Zora.
Yeah, that's... and Ed finally going to Sanctuary. He gets those bombs.
It is looking like the front of Escape play, though.
Yep, I mean, Ed has the option of using that small key he's about to get and trying to go to Dark Cross from this side. But again, just having bombs, if that key rat gets away from you, it's good night.
Looks like he's gonna attempt it.
I thought
Oh,
for a
but
second...
he has the boomerang. That's why.
Oh, that's true. Yep, that's true. That'll make it a little easier. And the bee as well. That's just cheating, Ed.
I mean, he got that randomly, and it's actually paying out for him. So
yeah, that's actually a really heads-up play on MistaEd's side to use that bee to get that dark rat. So, you know, it again just shows that these runners are here for a reason. They think about those things like that. That's going to be a little time save.
Yeah, I wouldn't even have thought of that. That was actually impressive. And these two fighters for damage was enough to one-shot a rat too, which is even more. This makes it all the more viable.
Just a big 20, but you know, still shout-outs to Ed for that play with the bee going through Dark Cross from the back.
Now where's Mr. Ed going next? jmeasher, meanwhile, is doing the Zora play.
And I think Ed's not wanting to go back to Eastern until he has, you know, the ability to kill the boss. So doing that Houlihan, gonna get up just enough money for the Zora as well.
That's right. Houlihan, of course, for those who are unaware, is a safety room in which if you displace yourself too much, you'll be sent into this default room. And you get some money and you get to leave and you be put right at Link's house.
Which does make me laugh because the programmers of this game knew that the game was janky enough that they needed a fallback room if you displaced the Link sprite enough, but they left in so many other bugs. So it's a little funny to me.
Yeah, you can just disalign the overworld holes just right to make them decouple.
And Ed winning the foot race to Zora here has already scouted the ledge too, so this is, I believe, jmeasher's first trip to the whole area. Yep, gonna go into Waterfall here. So a little doubling back by Mr. Ed, but by Mr. Ed not going to Eastern, actually slightly ahead here.
Yes, but I believe MistaEd has not checked Ice Ride Cave yet, whereas jmeasher made that detour to do so. I admittedly was not looking directly, so I might have missed that if it was not the case.
That's all right. We are but two people with 4 eyes between us, so we will probably miss a few things that happen. And Zora being just a scam here today. I know we're all very shocked.
So it looks to be front of escape, and it looks like Mr. Ed's just going to ignore that completely and go up the mountain.
Yeah, I mean, you have the mirror, so you can at least pop into Hera, but again, well, Ed still needs to go to Eastern as well, but I think jmeasher, yep, quickly realizing I need to do the front of escape. Gonna stay in logic, and, I mean, Mr. Ed could still get paid out for this play. We'll see.
If nothing else, Mr. Ed will unlock the saving point, but there's only, like, 2... Oh, no, actually, he can take this further and go into Hera. Only just remembered he had the mirror.
Yep, has that mirror to be able to, like I said, check Hera. If the basement's required, can't do that because no fire source, and doesn't have anything to kill the worm yet, but again, who knows? Maybe down in front of escape it's just a flute and that's meant to get you something up here on Spec Rock. So again, however, that hammer is your Dark World access on jmeasher's side.
That also makes short work of clearing the rest of this escape and save him a ton of resources. I'm not gonna lie, I had a feeling that was there.
Yeah, something had to give. We didn't have too much else that could have fallen in our lap that wouldn't open more things. So yeah, that hammer, pretty important.
That sword is also pretty important there on Mr. Ed's side, over in Spectacle Rock.
Yep, and I take back what I said about not being able to kill the worm. while it is a little slower, Ed will be able to get a boss cleared if the layout is kind enough and not putting the big key in the basement, because of course Ed can't Hera pot without that hookshot.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you have the boot setup or the bomb setup, you need the hookshot to finish up the trick. And we can pretty much say that Aga is dead outside of the Lumberjack spot, which no one has checked, actually. Because we have our full Darkworld access with the Hammer, Glove, and Moon Pearl. There's our map check. 5-6 is over in Swamp, and our pendants are Skullwoods and Ice Palace. We need at least 2 medallions, most likely, for both dungeons.
Yep, already have that Quake, so that's at least in the runner's hands, but we'll see what we might still need, and Ed getting deadrocked there as jmeasher doing his Dark Cross check.
Alright, first look out of Hera here. Let's see what we got. Starting off with the compass, that's not a good sign.
Yep, if you got a coin handy, go ahead and flip it, because that's what Ed's doing here.
Bulky, it is fire locked.
I mean, honestly, that's not bad for Ed. It's gonna push him to escape here sooner, and he has the sword, so as soon as he gets that hammer, he can get to the Dark World. I mean, probably what he didn't want to see, honestly, is something like the hookshot that would keep him up on the mountain a little longer. So he may not know it, but I think this is working out in Ed's favor.
Yeah, he kind of got bailed out there by not being taken too far off the intended path. It is going to cost him a bit, though, as jmeasher is now in the Dark World proper, and it's most likely going to be heading over to Hype Cave.
Yep, this is definitely a hype. I mean, jmeasher, I'm not too familiar with their routing. They might choose to go start pod, but I'd imagine he's going to go to Stumpy first.
I'm feeling a little bit of a different vibe, actually. We have everything we need to enter Swamp Palace. We just don't have the means to finish it. And there's a sword for jmeasher, our second total. So we can go all the way to left side Swamp here with what we've got. Nothing's stopping us from doing that.
Very, very true. And a nice dungeon item count there on MistaEd's side. Having already done Dark Cross, knows he can skip out on Zelda's Cell.
Only a few bumps and stumping. Meanwhile, MistaEd is also entering the Dark World. We'll see where he goes after what is most likely going to be a Hype Cave play, because it's just full of items. You might as well do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, traditionally that first check you get if this is your Dark World access. So Ed's gonna, again, he had a sword advantage for maybe 2 minutes, but he will have that sword advantage, gonna be on Master Sword.
Yep, the minimum level required to beat the game, because Ganon does not care about that little plastic fighter sword.
Laughs at my first sword.
Ganon sort of laughs at the Master Sword too, to be fair. You can't actually slap with it.
Yeah, that's very true.
Pretty early digging game prize, 7 digs for a heart piece. jmeasher are gonna leave it behind though. Makes sense. There's another 40 or something in the pool now.
Yeah, definitely plenty left in the pool. And yeah, jmeasher saying, all right, just gonna mirror here and continue up, take the portal. Once I'm in Kakariko, we can full clear Thieves Town. That is a crystal. Probably next stop on jmeasher's trip after clearing out Village of Outcasts.
Yeah, and I like this play over the Swamp Palace play. Although, for all we know, the hookshot could just be the Swamp House that is full clearable on its own merits.
It could. Another kind of silly place for that hookshot is East Death Mountain right now. Because with that mirror and hammer, we can get over to the east side of the mountain.
That is true. That is very true.
But plenty of items still left to find for these runners. We need a bow. We need 2 rods. We might need another medallion. The hookshot came Samaria. So I think we'll have some good divergence here for a bit. And we'll see, obviously, what comes where.
Instead, doing the archery minigame and gets this time 64. Very nicely done.
Yep. Again, sort of that heads-up play of recognizing, hey, I'm a few rupees short. And another sword in Village of Outcasts. So Ed's going to go from nothing to tempered in the span of about 5 minutes here once he gets up into the village. But jmeasher going to start enjoying the benefits of Master Sword here on his side.
And there's the Titus Vets.
Okay, now these runners have the world opened up to them. So yeah, like, dang, that's okay. Where would you head next in this case, Wolflink? Like we were talking about, Thieves Town seems like the smart play. It's a crystal, and it just gave us our fire rod.
Yeah, you can full clear a dungeon, you do a full clear of a dungeon. That's just pretty straightforward logic thinking right there. And now with the fire rod, you can also just take this routing north, full clear Skull Woods, maybe take it eastward after that, check Bumper Ledge, Graveyard Ledge, and then maybe go all the way over to Catfish.
Yeah, I like that route. Personally, I'm not a fan of Pendant Skull, but I feel like Pendant Skull pays out more than Crystal Skull, so I can see that play.
I mean, if you find the 2 items, you can just bolt and never have to deal with them off.
Very true, very true.
We're gonna take a look and see what's in Skull Woods, and MistaEd's entering it first, it looks like.
Yep, which again is only unfortunate if the items aren't in the back here. I apologize, I'm jamming out to this MSU a little bit. I think we switched over to jmeasher.
Oh, we definitely did. This is definitely Messenger. And don't worry, I'm right there with you.
I'm like, I might have to play this game. But Ed getting the big key in the back and grabbing the small key. So, I mean, at least he can full clear the front having that big key in hand.
Yeah, worst case scenario is both items are fire rod locked. Oh! jmeasher taking a death. Those rats doing a lot of damage.
Yikes, yeah, those Dark World crickets are going to do 2 hearts on green mail. And like we were saying, the earlier you come here, the less health you have with only, a couple of full heart containers in the pool. But not to be deterred, jmeasher going right back into the dungeon, saying, heck it, yeah, I want to clear it, I know I'm going to clear it, let's go. Speaking of full heart containers, yeah, I think we were going the same route with that one.
Yep, I believe that's our first of 5. I haven't been paying too much attention to heart containers, though, admittedly.
So not a whole lot in Skull unless this big chest pays out. That heart container, I believe, was our one and only item. Yep, so we are fire rod locked from the other item in Skull Woods. I don't think Ed goes back once he gets that fire rod. But again, I could be proven wrong.
Yeah, just one reminding us. We did see a card container on Zora Ledge. I don't remember if any runner picked it up, though.
Oh, and the refill in that chest, just sort of salt in the wound on jmeasher's side. Ed just... I'm gonna have to ask Ed about this routing in the post-game interview. He's avoiding crystals. And I don't know, I think he's going for those, bad one-off locations, hoping they pay out, would be my guess.
Yeah, this is definitely a very aggressive overworld strategy that MistaEd's doing. It could pay out for him, if it could not. And can't afford to take some bricks here. This is a best of 3 after all.
That's very true. And then, again, we have the benefit of seeing the seed from the top down. So we know, obviously, the mitts and the fire rod and those silver arrows are all sitting in the village area once Ed heads back over that way. But just another full heart container in the graveyard ledge for MistaEd. But go ahead and get your scripts out, because jmeasher about to take on Blind.
Yep, if you do the same thing in the fight, he'll do the same thing in return. Pretty straightforward. It's very easy to drop this scripted pattern, though. But jmeasher pulling it off flawlessly.
Yep, very well done, and gets rewarded with our first crystal just shy of the half-hour mark. And I think with those mitts and the mirror, do you think jmeasher decides to do Smith Chain while he's here?
Maybe. Kinda smart, though.
Wow. Ed getting all the heart containers and jmeasher just getting presents from Santa here in the Village of Outcasts.
Village of Outcasts absolutely loaded this run. Or this seed, rather.
Absolutely, and it's one of those things where, you love to see that as a runner, and I can imagine jmeasher's thinking, all right, there's all this stuff here, on the quote-unquote conventional path, not knowing that Ed's taking an unconventional path, so definitely one of those things that starts to weigh on your mind of, this is a lot of stuff, do I need to make a play, or do I just rely on my execution?
Okay, that is a nice touch on this MSU, and I'm approving of it. Alright, MistaEd looks to be heading over into Village Outcast now, whereas jmeasher's just going to be taking the chest and save warping.
Yep. I do want to give a shout out to the community of people who make the MSU packs for this game. A lot of talented people putting in a lot of work to add more flair to these games. So shout outs to all the MSU creators. And yeah, Ed grabbing that Tempered Sword, about to grab the Cane of Samaria, and might be thinking, why didn't I come here first?
And the purple chest contains for us a heart piece. jmeasher's going to take this all the way over to Agina, which MistaEd checked earlier.
So I just thought of something that's a little frightening, Wolflink. With the things we found in the Village of Outcasts, we're flute away from being able to pull the pedestal. Or book.
That is true. But at the same time, that's boots pending. Because for all we know, the big key in desert could be on the torch.
Yep, no, absolutely. It's one of those Schrodinger's moments. But something interesting, especially with the non-progressive bows like you were calling out earlier on. We could have the bow on that head. We could have hook shot, or one of our required medallions. So one of those things where it's just like, how early did I get access to this? But yeah, Hadouken Spammer calling it out in chat. jmeasher finally making that mountain play. Can do most of the mountain, just not hookshot cave, unless, of course, the hookshot is up here. It'll be nice to scout the Turtle Rock medallion as well while they're up here.
Yeah, meanwhile, MistaEd's gonna be going into this place and realizing just how much value he's left behind.
With the mirror, I wouldn't be surprised to see jmeasher clear East Death Mountain and even Dark Death Mountain before going into Hera, just in case he can find that hookshot to make Hera a little bit faster.
Probably.
Switching over the bombs, that's a yes, I will take that tempered sword, please.
Yeah, most of them are gonna be damage boosting.
Yep, that bomb jump is definitely, you need to align yourself on the x-axis, and then from there the y-axis is less important. But just missing it, but that's alright, wants to be on the mountain anyway.
Yeah, it just takes a few seconds and not having to climb back up the staircase on the left side, because it's slow.
Alright, and MistaEd also able to count the items in Thieves Town, realizing I don't need to go to the big chest.
Good call.
And if you thought one fight with blind was enough, no, here's another from Ed, and, well, color me surprised, jmeasher deciding to go into Hera first.
I mean, you can full clear, and get this out of the way so you don't have to come back. About the only thing that bites him doing this is that he's isolating the ether tablet, but if Spike Cave is anything, then they might have to come back and pick up ether on the way.
Yep.
Oh!
Yeah, there we go. Checking the first two really quickly and then saying, I'll come back, rather than do Hera. That makes sense.
Yeah, there is a scenario that both runners could have some trouble with. The big chest has an item. They'll have to do that and get that item anyway, especially if it's a progression item.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those risks that you run. MistaEd saying no to the Smith chain. I don't think we got anything off the Smith chain, so that's actually going to be a good time save for MistaEd.
Yeah, MistaEd has realized he's wasted a lot of time with doing overworld over dungeons. It's probably going to shift focus to doing those instead. Yeah, this looks to be an Ice Mouse play.
Yep, sure does. You get the items for it early, even though it is a pendant. I feel like Pendant Mire and Pendant Ice have that allure. we'll see if it pays off today. Meanwhile, we're about to get a bevy of items here on jmeasher's side, with both Light and Dark World East Death Mountain.
Alright, we're gonna start with Paradox Cave. 2 items and 5 items. Red Boomerang.
Yeah. We now have both boomerangs, so everyone is happy that the best boomerang is in possession of jmeasher.
There's our one and only shield, but not much else here in Paradox Cave.
Yeah, very tame Paradox there for sure. As we have MistaEd attempting the icebreaker over here on the left side of your screen. If you're newer and don't really know what the dance MistaEd is doing, basically the Cane of Samaria is a broken item and helps you break the game.
Case in point.
Someone far more eloquent than I can explain the door state extension of the Samaria block, but yeah, basically what you just saw there is if you manipulate the pixel position of the sprite, you can push yourself through walls with the cane. And the boots! I'm sorry, Wolflink, go ahead.
I was about to say, yeah, those boots showing up for MistaEd. That will potentially put him back in, but we'll need to start focusing on crystals here at this point, I feel.
Yeah, MistaEd really wants something important to be on a torch or in Bonkrock's King's Tomb right now, for those boots to really pay out, especially if nothing else is here in ice.
Well, speaking of dungeons to clear, Quake is required for Turtle Rock, and jmeasher looks to be entering. No ice rod yet, but that's going to be a lot of items.
Yeah, lot of items, including the Mimic Cave. And again, you have what's required to enter here pretty early in the seed, so it's possible that that's the breadcrumbs that the game is trying to give you, saying, hey, just go to Turtle Rock. Yeah, you might have to double dip it, but what if you don't? And I think I saw just more arrows in Ice Palace, so boots being the big prize for MistaEd with that Ice Palace play. And jmeasher, remembering I don't have the hookshot, gotta go the long way.
Yep, let's see what's at our boots lock locations here from MistaEd. We might even see him do a quick check of the Lumberjack ledge to see if there's something there. Because item is on the table now. Actually, no, it's not yet. We still need the lamp for it to be fully in logic.
Yep, still need that lamp because not every room on the Dark Climb has a torch. But fire-locked big key in Turtle Rock, that's okay, because both runners have that fire rod. Bonkrock's with ether. Okay, this is getting tasty.
That ether could be required, or it could just be an absolute nothing item with bombos being required from Mr. Meyer. We don't know yet, of course. We won't know what Mr. Meyer's spended is until we find that flute. But for all we know, it could be bombos, or it could just also be Quake.
jmeasher getting taunted by the chain chomps here. Careful. Oh, jmeasher, please be careful. You've already died to rats. Don't die to chain chomps.
I mean, to the chain chomps' credits, they are the second highest damage source in the game. On Green Mail, you take a whopping 6 hearts from them. So he would die to those. Ganon is the only other higher source of damage with 8 hearts with his contact damage. And here comes the Smith chain for MistaEd.
slightly faster work of it with those boots for the hammer pegs. Definitely seeing the benefit of those boots here. Alright, the Toad's bunny sprite is adorable.
Yeah, just a what a mushroom.
Yeah, just a key for a key there on the lava chests for jmeasher, so gotta go all the way to the back and really commit to this play if you want to find the goods. So this is definitely where the further you get into it, the more you think, oh man, should I have waited until I had the ice rod? But again, could pay out, could be right here. We'll see shortly.
Yeah, there's no telling if the ice rod's back here. It could be anywhere in the seed other than on Trinex or in GT at this point.
Thanks, game. But
overall, though, I think jmeasher is making the right call here. If ice rod's here, you just saved yourself a bunch of time. If it's not here, well, you cleared most of the dungeon anyway, so you can just blast your way through this place later. And the items in here could be required elsewhere.
Very true. But just Berna? Yeah, we still have a few more items to check, though. Yeah, I think Ed is going the full for the people route here, is we're going to get a hookless swamp dip.
I mean, I mentioned it earlier, that it could be violent. We've had access to this since we had Dark World access. The seed could have wanted us to just jump straight in the second we went to Dark World.
That is very, very true, Wolflink.
Alright, jmeasher, we'll be finding a key on Laser Bridge here. First item in Swamp Palace coming up. And it is the big key, so at least one more item available to check.
Yep, and jmeasher making that Dark Samaria maze look easy.
Yeah, it can be tricky with all the navigating turns, but if you can pretty much realize which way you're turning, you can follow the same route every single time and it works.
Yep, just hope you don't miss one of the turns.
Well, it's more so not missing one of the turns so much as knowing to start changing your input direction the moment you actually do make a turn.
Yep. jmeasher saying, I'm gonna take this safety door because these lasers, much like the chain chomps, hit like a truck.
Yeah, the lasers do 3 hearts of damage. Timely heal!
Oh,
Meanwhile, MistaEd finding another heart piece. Careful. jmeasher will die here if he gets hit by the laser. Gonna pull out the cane of Berna. Play it safe. There's the flute in Swamp Palace Big Chest!
This is just ridiculous. And nothing in Turtle Rock. So, oh, goodness gracious. If the hookshot's behind that flute, this is the 3000 IQ play of the seed from MistaEd. As jmeasher heading back up the mountain here, I think this is the, alright, now I'll go finish Hera.
It could very well be. We don't know what is in Ice Palace, and Ice Palace right now is locked behind the boots or the hookshot. Boots might have been logical entry there.
You mean Meyer?
Yeah, that's what I meant, Meyer. Did I say something else?
Yeah, you said ice. It's all good. I'm just making sure.
I get the eyeball dungeons mixed up, man.
You know, that's fair.
I mean, I also, to be fair, I get the eyeball bosses mixed up a lot.
It's that one, and I get Skullwoods and Swamp switched around all the time, too, so you're not alone. Ed gonna do, everything he can in here, as jmeasher gonna take a nice little coffee break.
Alright, left side first chest is a 3 bombs. We'll have to loop around to see what the other one is.
Yep, as jmeasher has paid his penance, got through the tile room to grab the big key.
And nothing in left side swamp except for that loot. So, looking like it might have been a forced double dip of Swamp Palace to get the flute and then find the hookshot elsewhere. But still, the flute is a huge advantage right now for MistaEd. Definitely has the mobility right now over jmeasher.
Yep, got the, and now we do have full access to that pedestal, but with Ed bailing on Ice Palace, I don't see him doing Desert before potentially Mire. The only thing that would stop Ed, of course, is Bombos being required for the entry. Ooh, that's a nice bow you pulled out of the Hera there, jmeasher.
It turns out the map was in the big chest, so if the hookshot was anywhere else other than Moldorm, then you could have verified, but we're about to see.
Yep, if the hookshot's locked by that bow or up here on Moldorm, it's kind of what jmeasher's hoping for, and Ed, of course, hoping it's over here locked by that flute.
Double Quake.
Nice quick Moldorm fight there by jmeasher. Gonna grab our second crystal. Just over 50 minutes, and just a piece of heart on the boss.
I caught that, I caught the Mr. Myers' Quake entry, so we already have both medallions that we need. It's only the one Quake medallion. We've had it since the beginning. Or most of the beginning.
Yeah, that was pretty early in the seed, you're right. And oh, goodness. And there's a book over here, so even more awkward things to check. Ooh, nice spike cave check here.
This also means the flute was hard required to enter Desert Palace. Because you couldn't enter it normally.
Very true. Just some cash in the back of Spike Cave. But Ed gonna be popping into Mire here. I imagine Ed at least checks Desert after this. It is the green pendant as well. So then once they go back to, Pod Eastern to finish that off, hopefully after they get that bow out of Hera, they'll be able to turn that in, but we'll see.
Speaking of Pod Eastern, that is exactly what jmeasher is heading off to do now.
Yep, has the ability to full clear now that he has the bow and the hammer. Dark Turtles in the basement of Pod, it could be a little tricky, but has that fire rod, so that trivializes that room as well.
First time here with Mr. Meyer is a small key. 2 items that we care about are in here somewhere.
Yep, I like to think they called it Misery Mire because it's a lot of checks for 2 items. And, of course, Pod, you have 6 keys, so 4 of them are required in the front, so it's going to be a second before we see jmeasher likely picking anything up out of here. But after we get those small keys, there's quite a few items for us to find.
MistaEd having to go all the way over here first before checking the compass chest. Does not have enough magic to light the torches here.
Yep, and that's where that green potion that you had mentioned earlier would really come in handy is a place like this.
Yeah, any of the late dungeons really, because we don't have that lamp, which is very magic efficient for lighting stuff on fire. Fire Rod, we only get 8 shots total on a full magic bar.
Yep, and Ed putting every last one of those 8 shots into a torch. It's his coffee break as the Meyer cutscene plays out here.
Magic powder found by jmeasher over in pod.
That's, I mean, in this hard mode, one of the only safeties you're going to get is that powder, to help remove some anti-fairies later on. But, as Goron's saying in chat, that's also one more really isolated check right now.
That's true, the magic bat. It's also just a good safety item to have because you can turn those anti-fairies into normal fairies and just get a nice big burst of 7 hearts of healing. Which in turn saves your potion for something more important like, green potion for Bombos use. As we find that now.
Yep, we have all of our coins.
And speaking of the lamp.
Well, what I was about to say about the back of Meyer has just become moot.
Yeah, there's a lot of dark rooms along that way, and no torches to light, but now that we have the lamp, that doesn't really matter anymore. Huh, that also means Aghanim is fully available in the logic.
Yep, but unless Hookshot or Ice Rod are sitting on Lumberjack Ledge, I think Aghanim can stay at the top of his tower today.
That is true. At the same time, for all we know, it could be there. No one's scouted Lumberjack Ledge currently. And likewise, no one's checked Pedestal now that we have the book in play. Both items could be there, or neither item could be there. We don't know.
Ed with a broken Spooky there has to do Meyer the slightly slower way, as jmeasher heading into the Dark Maze here.
Dark Maze is one of those harder dark rooms to work. It is definitely doable though. The only threats are enemies you can kill with screen nuking like bombos.
Yep. jmeasher doesn't have it, but Ether's another good one to use because then you can still see them and kind of place yourself around. But wow, nothing over in the Dark Maze. So really Pod only having the powder and bombos, which we know bombos isn't required. So we'll see if Helma has anything.
Yeah, and by extension the Armosites, because that's exactly where jmeasher's going next.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back, almost an hour ago now when we were in Eastern, or at least half an hour ago, if we found all 3 items in Eastern. I can't remember if we did.
We found map. We found compass and big keeper at least. I don't know if we picked up the map as well.
And our tracker, Homemade Beer, saying there is an item on the Armos Knights.
Yes, thank you to the tracker being our extra set of eyes and keeping those items up to date for you on the bottom of your screens there. Second item on the Vitreous is only 20 rupees. The Hookshot and the Ice Rod's not here. MistaEd rather will have to move on to somewhere in the dungeon. Where does MistaEd go at this point? Into desert, I guess?
Yeah, I'd imagine desert's on his mind. He still has Dark Death Mountain, which we know he needs for that bow, but we'll see if something's in desert here. Yeah, it's... So, I mean, the two big things right now separating our runners in my mind are that flute in Hookless Swamp, and of course the bow up in Hera from jmeasher.
MistaEd also has the tablets available to check as well. And it was, sure enough, it was a Boots Lock Desert. I predicted that perfectly.
A fantastic call there, Wolflink.
Thank you, thank you. Alright, let's see what the boots were locking here as we check the big chest. Small keys. Oh man, they really didn't want you getting anything in desert without those boots.
Yep, I mean, you could have stolen the key, but then you're leaving the green pendant behind. So, yeah, it's... Whew.
Yeah, there was no item available without getting the boots.
Yep, and a nice finish of Helmasaur there on jmeasher's side, snagging his third crystal just before the hour mark.
And there's the first item. It is a green pile of 20 rupees. The only item that does that is our fourth sword. And there's a normal red 20 there, so completely barren. Desert Palace is going to be left alone. Although it is the green pendant. Nope, this dude's going to leave. Not going to bother getting it for Saha.
Yep, Ed saying, you know, I have other prospects. I'm trying to remember back when jmeasher was on Dark Death Mountain. Or no, jmeasher didn't have the boots, so it's irrelevant. I know Ed can hover, so we might be seeing a hookshot cave hover here. Hopefully Ed does Hera first. But, if you want to see that closer race, it depends on when jmeasher goes to Swamp.
Right? Ether to have a check. It is 50 bucks.
And does decide to sprint right past Hera here. Gonna go ahead and clear out the East Death Mountain first that we already know. Not much over here. Ed just having a great time with Dead Rocks today. And jmeasher showing you why you usually don't get the silver arrows until much later in the game, unless you have a Game Genie somehow for your Super Nintendo.
Yeah, they kind of break the game's bosses quite a bit.
Just that piece of heart. So, yeah, at this point for jmeasher, it's okay. Which bad decision do I make? I've already cleared Turtle Rock. It's either Pendant Ice, the front of Swamp, or the back of Skull.
Now, of those, we have not seen the back of Skullwoods, I believe. So, that could have our hookshot or our ice rod at this point.
If I'm not mistaken, jmeasher avoided Skull altogether, and Ed was the one who went in. But again, I could be mistaken there. Chat, please correct me on that if I am mistaken.
I believe you were correct on that, but MistaEd did not have the fire rod at the time, so he could not do the back. There was only one item in the front.
I feel like this is the long, lonely walk to Pyramid Ledge and Catfish from jmeasher.
Well, I don't think we've seen Pyramid Ledge, so might be worth checking.
Yep, and from Ed's perspective too, and especially with how he's been routing, I'd say I'd be shocked if he doesn't go into Turtle Rock without ice, but at the same time I've been wrong so many times about Ed's route that I'm sure he'll do something completely different. Nothing doing on Pyramid Ledge, though.
And with that, both runners are as fully upgraded as they're going to be in terms of equipment. Fighter Sword, Master Shield, Green Mail is our cap. That's about the only thing I think of is Hookshot Cave, isn't it?
Yeah, very possible. And yeah, Ed's saying I don't want to climb the mountain again, so gonna come back over here to Hera.
This makes a lot of sense. Finish what you can here on the mountain. Minimize your trips up, because that's just a time sink.
Thank you again to our tracker answering those questions in chat for us. jmeasher saying, I have plenty of hearts, thank you to Catfish. As Ed gonna be pretty happy that he decided to do, not wait until he had hookshot. Even though the bow wasn't in the big chest, getting this bow sooner rather than later, definitely something that's gonna feel good.
Yeah, we don't have many options left. It looks like jmeasher's just gonna opt to check the magic bat here. Aghanim's still in play, Ped's still in play. The back of Skullwoods is still in play. There are just so many single item locations for jmeasher right now. One of them's going to have to pay out, but until he finds the correct one, MistaEd has plenty of time to catch up here and start collecting some crystals.
Yep, and every second he has with those boots that jmeasher doesn't is just, helping speed up those checks.
And I don't blame jmeasher for avoiding Ice Palace or Swamp Palace right now. Swamp Palace you can't do without the hookshot. And Pendant Ice is one of the, in my opinion, one of the worst dungeons to ever go to by choice. Because it's long, and if you're just going in there for the items, it's not really a good time investment. We know it's going to pay out because that's where our boots are. And we need them for Desert, which, for all we know, doesn't have anything, but it does have... Actually, we don't need it for Ether either, so the boots are technically optional to seed unless the pedestals are involved.
Yeah, and Ed did bail on killing Land Mollis for that green pendant, so for all we know, that could also be our last breadcrumb.
Looks to be a Skullwoods play here from jmeasher.
Yeah, so, I mean, odds are jmeasher will do back to front. I could be, misreading this as well, but we are going to at least see one new item because MistaEd only got the one out of the front.
And down goes Molder for MistaEd. Second crystal in the match. Doesn't look like catch up to jmeasher right now, but plenty of room to do so.
They are still both at 4 crystals. Ed has that mire clear over jmeasher. But of course, jmeasher has the pod clear over MistaEd. But with that bow in hand, MistaEd can now go, oh, I'm sorry, you're right. jmeasher does have the crystal lead. I think I double counted our tracker homemade beer tracking those crystals faster than I can think.
We are now being joined by those from SpeedGaming 3. Welcome in here to the race between MistaEd and jmeasher. Currently, we are in a hookshot and ice rod hunt. We have no idea where they are. And it's been some very interesting routing between the two runners here. A lot of divergence.
Yeah, I think divergence is definitely the word of the seed here. And jmeasher saying, if I can avoid going all the way to the back of Skull, I want to do it. So going to come back here, check this big chest, which we know is nothing. And then it's the question of, okay, back to the moth or not? So two big differences in pod here from MistaEd over jmeasher. One, of course, the boots, and the other being that lamp that was in Mire. So Ed's going to have a slightly faster time in those dark rooms. jmeasher also saying no to the back of Skull.
Intriguing. We'll see where jmeasher goes next.
Yeah, doing that graveyard ledge check, which we know is another heart container. This would be the time to check that lumberjack tree too, but jmeasher doesn't know that it's magic.
That's right, because our lamp is over in Misery Mire Big Chest. To get that, we need to get the flute, which is in the big chest of Swamp.
And to even bonk the tree, you need the boots in Pendant Ice. But I think this is finally that ice play from jmeasher. Because he already bailed on Moth, I don't see jmeasher killing Cold Stare.
Maybe. I'm not sure how many items are available before that. I wasn't keeping track when MistaEd was in here earlier.
I think we found all three, as Ed showing off more Samaria Witchcraft. And welcome raiders from SpeedGaming Prime, big raid. Like my co-com Wolflink said moments ago, you are in the middle of a round of 64, game 1 between MistaEd3 and jmeasher. Our mode today is a hard standard tournament pool.
jmeasher is coming up on the boots here, which is going to be good. Although, still needs to go into Swamp Palace, we have access to since we've had Dark World, to pull out the flute, which in turn unlocks our lamp over in Misery Mire. And our book, which is the only other way we can enter desert. Not that we really need to go into desert, there's nothing in there of importance other than the green pendant.
Yep, it's possible the Bombos tablet has something too. That's the other ace up MistaEd's sleeve at the moment. Would be something on that Bombos tablet. Yep, jmeasher's celebrating getting those boots by happily dashing around the rest of Ice.
I don't blame him. Boots are probably the best item to have in the game. Why wouldn't you want to dash around?
You know, I'm with you 100%. Alright, Ed clearing that Mimic Room in just one attempt instead of two like the other, as our chat clips. But jmeasher showing off that safety of the powder there. Really swaggy powder on that Anti-Fairy too.
And jmeasher grabbing the third item is bailing. Makes sense. Now, of course, if the tunes sound a little different for you guys who just had tuning in from those raids, we do have a couple of race-approved MSUs going on. Right now, we are listening to jmeasher, who's using the Messenger MSU, whereas Mr. Ed, meanwhile, is using the King of Fighters. Maybe we'll hear that a bit later.
Yep, and while we're getting a couple of checks that these runners have done, our tracker homemade beer in chat, posting the links to those runners. If you're enjoying the show, please give them a follow. Follows, of course, cost nothing, but really shows these runners the love and support that you all have as a great community for what they do and the show that they're putting on. So, fun. Well, I call it a fun factoid. In the qualifiers, which were this hard standard pool, this hard open modified pool, the way the point system worked out, 7 points separated these two runners. jmeasher finishing in the first quartile of qualifiers, and MistaEd finishing in the third quartile, but they both went 4 and 2 in their respective groups. So, just goes to show that anyone who did qualify for this tournament is more than capable of taking it down, as we do see jmeasher finally getting that lumberjack check, just a 20 rupee.
Yep, so Aghanim's not the answer here. But still a few options left. Neither runner is on the back of Skull Woods yet, which we know there is a single item. Other than that, though, Bumbo's Tablet and the Pedestal are only other 2 viable locations for items right now.
And the green pendant turn-in, which MistaEd bailed on.
That is also true. No one is keen to go fight the pendant bosses this scene, apparently.
These are not fun choices, Wolflink.
They're really not, no. If I had to choose one, I would choose the one jmeasher's doing. Go check the back of Skull Woods.
Yep, the only feels bad is if it does end up being the ped, jmeasher doesn't have that book to check right now. So buckle up, chat. We're gonna have some likely panicked choices being made here of which horrible location is gonna have the progression, and not just that, one of 2 items of progression. But at this point, sorry, go ahead, Wolf.
I was gonna mention that of those 2, the hook shots are more likely for us to find first, because the ice rod, for all we know, could just be in the back of swamp. And it is on the boss!
Game's got jokes. Yes, jmeasher has cleared out Turtle Rock, and it was nothing but the Cane of Burna in Mimic Cave.
Yeah, we have had access to Turtle Rock for a while now, and jmeasher did the whole place without the ice rod, and unfortunately, did not find it. But at least it's cleared for. At least his path is cleared all the way to Trinex.
All right, Moth, to whom we've had access for a while. Do you have our item?
No.
No. Oh, right. Logically, we have the bottom chest and hook cave too that you can bonk to.
That is also true.
But that's just another really out of the way check.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of scattered breadcrumbs at this point. You hate to see it, but at the same time, it does happen quite a bit in Randomizer. You just don't get the items you need until the very last second. And you end up hating yourself for they showing up so late.
I think we might have jmeasher finally about to get the flute here. I don't know what else he would be doing over here.
Checking. Oh no, he can't check Bumbo, so yeah, he's going to the Ice Palace finally. Or, not Ice Swamp. What am I doing?
And for the first time this seed, Ed has the crystal advantage. Although, if it's on Ped, that crystal advantage doesn't mean much, because we still have to kill all the bosses.
That is very, very true.
Alright, and I think this might be Bombo's check from Ed. Yeah, Goron, I'm not sure what else Ed would be doing coming over here. Can't finish out Swamp, so probably that Bombo's check.
Hey, it's one of our loose ends here.
Survey says...
We get a bunch of fireworks, and we celebrate the return of the hook shot!
Oh, goodness, game.
So, it was in fact a forced double dip of Swamp Palace. You had to go in to get the flute, so that you can get the book, so you can go to Bombo's tablet, so you can go back into Swamp. One item away from go mode here for MistaEd. Needs to find that ice rod, and more likely than not, it's in the back of Swamp. You don't have much else to check afterwards.
Yep, not too much indeed, and, you know, Ed gonna be able to finish out Swamp here. If Ice Rod isn't there, though, you still have those 4 checks in Hookshot Cave that are pretty alluring before going into TR in the hopes of full clearing. I don't see him checking Green Pendant or Ped at this point, or even the back of Skull.
The only way I see him doing that is if he has no choice. But jmeasher has a lot to ground to cover.
Yep. I mean, if you're rooting for jmeasher, you're hoping go right to Meyer area, get that book, get the lamp, and then think to yourself, all right, let's do the silliest check first and go right to Bombo's. And if you're cheering for MistaEd, you want that ice rod to be pretty much right here.
Yep, let's see some diver down. Map and compass right next to each other.
Good jokes, Seed. Good jokes. So it's down to Argus, if the ice rod is going to be here. Yeah, and Goron in chat pointing out as well, a good shout for jmeasher would also be that ice rod on pedestal. Or even on Green Pendant turn-in at this point.
Yeah, jmeasher needs it to be somewhere outside of... Yeah, jmeasher needs it to basically not be on the hookshot. Behind the hookshot at this point. To come back. But at the same time, jmeasher also needs to be in a position where he can go check Bombo's medallion on top of that. So it's definitely an interesting conundrum there, because once he gets the ice rod, jmeasher might just go straight up the Death Mountain and not find the hookshot.
That's very true, and no ice rod here in Swamp. But yeah, the allure of Turtle Rock and Hookshot Cave, I would have to guess, is going to be too much for Ed here. But it looks like a Pyramid Fairy play first, or yeah, definitely the Pyramid Fairy play before going up the mountain.
Makes perfect sense to me. You want to minimize how many times you go up that mountain, like I've been saying. So definitely gonna prioritize doing this over the mountain with the Hookshot Cave and Turtle Rock.
Ed making nice use of those hook dashes here to get a little extra speed delivering this bomb. no, jmeasher just the slightest bit of magic short.
Yeah, I think 1 point of magic even. Pyramid Fairy has 20 rubies and the Ice Rod. That is go mode for Mr. Ed.
And a red potion to boot. So, yep, Ed's gonna go ahead, sprint through Turtle Rock, and then it's just a Ganon's Tower climb and a Big Pig away. So again, you want jmeasher to haul it after this to that Bombos medallion, or Bombos tablet rather, for this to be a close enough race. But right now, I'd say it's Ed's to lose.
I'm inclined to agree, because jmeasher doesn't even have the book yet. He might just leave this area completely, for all we know.
Oh, I missed that. I know he... Yeah, I saw him do the Mire Shed, but he didn't do checkerboard.
He might just get the green pendant and go and hope it's... and thinking it's there.
Very, very possible. You know, getting to the flute late like that, your two thought processes are, did my opponent get this early, or holy cow, I got this super late. Something's got to drop for me.
There wasn't that much on the mountain, now I think about it. Just the bow and Hera, as well as the one of our swords in Spectacle Rock, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And some cash and health. But that bow and that sword, a little more important. Alright, and jmeasher going to show us a slightly easier Vitreous kill than Mr. Ed had, because jmeasher's coming here with the bow already.
Yeah, and there's a reason why Vitreous is locking the silver arrows in vanilla play. You're about to see that boss absolutely melt. One shot for each of the eyeballs. And Vitreous is a tanky person. One silver only takes about 80% of his life. So you need 2 to kill him.
Yep, but does the job. jmeasher grabbing their next crystal, putting them up to 5. Really, really hope he remembers to go back to checkboard here. Looks like at minimum death first.
Instead, playing it smart there with the chain chomps, not letting in the doggos come in for a hug.
I mean, Ganon has them chained up in Turtle Rock. They're just happy to see someone.
I mean, at the same time, I don't blame him. Those things hurt.
Yep. jmeasher getting the fun news about how boot-locked Desert was here. And Mr. Ed saying, oops, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm just looking back at the scene and just the wild ride of logic we've been on for this, and the routing has been an entertainment to watch. This is definitely a VOD to watch. if you tuned in late.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think outside of starting at Uncle, and maybe no, I genuinely don't think our runners have been in the same place more than 2 minutes total at the same time.
Yeah, it's been wild. I think MistaEd's just completely avoided Kakuri from the start of it, and didn't really get punished for it either. It's a crazy thing.
Yeah, I mean, got those flippers, got that mirror. They both had a bottle right away from Link's house, but didn't really need to go to Kak. And yeah, Kak just didn't really have enough for jmeasher to, punish Ed's play of skipping it.
Instead, getting that key and just gonna go straight to the boss.
And I think jmeasher is making that I'm going to go to the worst location first, and definitely going to be happy that he did.
Definitely a wise call here.
Yeah, so then for jmeasher, it's just a matter of do that big bomb right after Swamp here and go, go, go. Yeah, that little bit of hesitation as that hook shot dropped too on jmeasher's side.
Yep, jmeasher has the function now, has to go to Swamp Palace. Still needs to grab the Ice Rod, and is about 2 full dungeons behind MistaEd now, although jmeasher has cleared the entirety of Turtle Rock.
Well, I suppose there is a prediction here in chat, Wolf Link. So I gotta ask, what kind of Ganon's Tower route taker are you, and where do you think that big key's gonna be?
I'm one of those who checks Hope Room first, honestly, but this could just go either way. I'm gonna say that it's probably gonna be somewhere in the middle of the road. We do have a prediction up for you guys over in the Twitch side for you to guess how many checks we have for the GT Big Key. There. Better hurry, it's going to close pretty shortly.
Yep, I knew we'd get along, Wolflink. I am also a Hope Room first sort of router.
Well, let's see where MistaEd finds that big key first. First, as we get started with Ganon's Tower. And great minds think alike, as MistaEd is starting with Hope Room. 20 rupees, followed by 10 arrows. Going left.
Something tells me in this seed, if MistaEd had found a small key, with how silly he's been routing, he might have gone right to tile room if there was a key over there.
I wanted to put it past him, honestly. Location 3 was the torch there. Only 20 rupees as we go into the Stout Post room 4, 5, 6, and 7. 50 rupees. A small key. 3 bombs. And a heart piece.
And a nice refill off that heart piece, too.
And that was check number 8 there, I believe. So number 9 coming up here in the Firebar room.
Ed, please throw the boomerang at least towards the switches. Thank you. And jmeasher taking down Argus on his side, grabbing crystal number 6. Really solid Argus fight, too, on jmeasher's side there.
Yes, number 9 is a small key. Here comes the random room, 10, 11, 12, and 13. 10 is a heart piece. 11 is 3 bombs. 12 is the magic decanter. 13 is 10 arrows. That small magic decanter would have been our half magic were we not on the hard item pool.
Yep, and like he needs to, jmeasher going right to that Pyramid Fairy, knowing, hey, my Ice Rod is probably locked behind this hook shot.
Just number 14 is just the compass, though, as we go to the Ice Armos fights. After this, 15, 16, and 17 await us, with one of those being the Vanilla Beat Key location.
Good recovery there on the Ice Armos fight, as jmeasher enters go mode at 133 and some change, gonna head back up here to Turtle Rock, and we are going to that right side.
15 was the mushrooms, 16 was the map, 17 was 10 arrows.
I think Ed thought about it for a second there. But jmeasher going to be able to just sprint through Turtle Rock, all the doors already opened.
18, 19, 20, and 21 coming up here for MistaEd. And there it is, number 18! And a small key there as well.
Yep, realized he didn't have any small keys, so knew he had to grab at least one there.
Now, there was an interesting bit of key logic there with the GT Big Key. Because it was in that room, there had to also be a small key amongst those 4 chests. Kind of a weird nuance there because of how the keys work.
And jmeasher falling victim to a little muscle memory there, but quickly realizes it and goes right back through the pipe. Ed did switch off the silver arrows as well for this gauntlet. Pretty heads up play. Those silver arrows do cause a little bit of lag, and where you're going to use them on this climb, those enemies die to 1 regular arrow anyway. But Ed got to be a little more careful here. Those BMOs are not playing kind right now.
No, they really are not. These Zazaks are also not playing nice either.
Yep. Does still have a red potion, so that is something to keep in mind. Yeah, and oh, that's right. He traded it in for a blue.
Freaking now. I honestly don't blame him. Played it super safe. And here goes the Lambolas. Switches back to silver arrows for the 1, 2, 3. Nice quick kill.
Absolutely. Very, very nice kill there by MistaEd. As jmeasher making his way back to Trinex here, Ed finishing up the gauntlet.
Yeah, MistaEd has got a sizable lead, though. Unfortunately, doesn't get the quick kill here in the second set of Wizard Rooms, so gonna waste a little bit of time here, but not too big a deal.
If I were to guess, we got a little bit of nerves on MistaEd's side here with some of these gauntlet rooms. And down comes the 7th crystal for jmeasher, taking out that Trinix. Going to be sprinting over to Ganon's tower.
Yeah, fastest routing for jmeasher is to go left and immediately swing back right as soon as he hits Southwest Rim. But we'll see what he does.
Yeah, those Dark Magician strats are definitely going to pay off here if that's the route jmeasher takes. You're right.
As the magic powder out to grab these 2 anti-fairies.
I was waiting for that heart piece to give him a fill.
I think it would have helped him. Slash and spin to defeat Boulder here as we get to the final chest. One more heart container. That's actually nice to have.
Yeah, that does put Ed up to 16. So that's a nice number to have going into that Ganon fight. You know, don't want to take any Ganon hugs, but you have a little bit of wiggle room now, especially since MistaEd popped his potion on the way up.
Yeah, could take definitely a few attacks from his range attacks and at least one hug, let's call it. Getting a double there to start with the Aga 2 fight. jmeasher going left to start things off, I believe. Meanwhile, only a single there for MistaEd.
jmeasher did the same route as MistaEd, so checked Hope Room and then is coming left.
Oh, that looked like a double there, but the stacking projectiles only made it a single. So 2-1-1-1 so far for MistaEd. There we go. There's the 6th and final hit.
Yep, down goes Aga as jmeasher does indeed take the same route through GT as MistaEd. So gonna be a little late to that big key on the right side, but MistaEd just has to say hi to Ganon here.
Alright, here we go with the Ganon fight for MistaEd. No potion, no safeties, but should be fine regardless. That interlude for the music was actually a really good choice for the MSU, not gonna lie. Set the tone.
Yep, really nice phase 2 spot here from Ganon for MistaEd. Gonna be able to get these double spins off the wall. Really make short work of phase 2 here as jmeasher gets his half magic, not half magic.
Unfortunately, misses the first free hit there on Ganon. So focused on dodging the fire bats from phase 2 that Ganon got an attack off and was able to get away.
And Ganon just playing keep away from MistaEd here with all those warps, but finally settles down enough for phase 4.
Here we go, phase 4. This is only going to be a single here. Might be able to squeeze in a double here. Yeah, this is going to be a double. And there we go, folks. Enter G's in the chat for MistaEd. MistaEd coming in first place with an official race time of 1:42.15.
Yep, GG's there to MistaEd as jmeasher takes out Ice Armos Knights here. Gonna grab that big key and start his climb. This being groups though, jmeasher's not done. This is a best of 3 series, so MistaEd taking the first of that series though. And we are joined in the booth now by our winner, MistaEd3. GG's, MistaEd.
Oh my god. Jeez. Well, as per tradition, when I get combo, the execution gets bad. Yay! Oh. That was, Oh, and by the way, my screen crashed as always when I open up Discord, so that's why I ended up fast-forwarding to the credits, so...
Yeah, this was just a crazy scene to watch. There was so much divergence between you and jmeasher that it was just nuts.
Yeah, I believe it. I had a weird gameplay in order that really honestly made no sense. I mean, I guess the fact that I meme just kind of explains it all. But yeah, I wanted to basically what my route wanted to do was I wanted to try to check everything I possibly could prior to going to CAC, because more often than not, and I know it's very minor, but more often than not, it's like, hey, here's your last piece of Dark World access, a glove, a moon pearl, a hammer, and then I can just go right up there and just kind of bang out Village of Outcasts, Thieves Town, Swamp or Skull Woods, all that type of stuff. And it was very slow. And then I just really did not want to go when I rushed Saha and I got those flippers. Basically, my game plan right away just changed. It was instead of me turning around and dipping Sphere 0, Sphere 1 locations in Eastern Palace, it's like, well, I got the flipper checks. It makes perfect sense to go South Shore. Hopefully Zor has nothing. You know, I don't really think that amounted to much, except for Mirror. But it was a slow go, and then because of the early routing that I did, I immediately fell behind, so the memes came in right away. I'm pretty certain, if I were to take a guess, I probably went to Ice Palace way before jmeasher. I probably went to... Yeah, I went to Ice probably before him. I probably went to Swamp before him. And it ended up actually, both those things ended up being hard required. A double dip in the Swamp, which is wild, but not surprising, I guess.
Yeah, that Swamp House in particular, you guys had access to at least do the left side checks right as soon as you had Dark World access, and I was contemplating up here in the booth, like, we've had access to that for a while now. What is the odds that Steve wants us to go there to begin with? And sure enough, it ended up being the correct play.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those scenarios where when I got the Fire Rod and I had already done Skull Woods, it was, well, I might as well just compound an error one way or another. So, either have one check in Skull Woods for Pendant Skull Woods that really did not feel good, or because I did have the Cane of Samaria, at least I'd be able to get quite a few checks in, or I get the 3 items, assuming Cold Stare didn't have one, pretty quickly, you know, like efficiently enough. And getting those boots kind of made me feel a little bit better. Doing the boots checks, of course, amounted to nothing. Smith Chain amounted to nothing, but when I was done with Smith Chain, I said, well, you know what? I got Swamp House. I have Eastern I haven't touched. I have Pod I haven't touched. And I have Mountain stuff that is technically out of Logic. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to try to stay in Logic. Maybe a Hookshot's in here. When I saw that flute, I just immediately thought, oh my god, Hookshot's going to be in Mire. This could be the greatest play. But it ended up being hard required to do that play, because to get the book from Checkerboard Cave to ultimately get Hookshot from Ether Tablet, or I'm sorry, Bombos Tablet, was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, it was almost like your thought of it's good that Hookshot was in Mire was technically correct even then, because it was still in the Mire area, just not directly linked to it.
It's true. You know what? I will give myself a little bit of credit for that. It was in the Mire. It was in Mire, just the Mire area. But yeah, I mean, it was the seed. I mean, not to say that the only chance I have to win against these top runners, which by the way, you know, shameless plug, jmeasher, incredible runner. If anybody's not following him, please do. But you know, I almost kind of feel in a way where, oh, by the way, I just realized my stream crashed. I didn't follow fast enough. Crap. Well, I'm gonna have to go live real quick. Bear with me for 1 second. Okay, you know what? Sorry. I kind of felt like if a seed is about as straightforward as possible, I really don't like my chances. If there's something weird that's going on, I really like my chances. So, and this ended up probably being that best of both worlds scenario right there, where it did help me out. That the logic chain was really, really weird. So, yeah, and jmeasher's in the Ganon fight. So let's finish. Let's see him finish off. Oh no. He has a fairy? No, he doesn't. Oh, sorry. I'll stop talking.
No, it's fine. He is in the Ganon fight. Yeah, you both put on an excellent race. I think jmeasher had the first access to Dark World.
Yep, jmeasher definitely had that early lead. You know, went into the back of Escape, got that hammer earlier than you, and you know, then when he was in Dark World and in the Village of Outcasts area, cleared the Village of Outcasts before going to Skull. So, you know, had the mitts, had the cane, had several other things. Ooh, jmeasher takes another one. But yeah, you kind of already explained that, MistaEd, the quote unquote meme play of doing silly things instead of the traditional route. But at the end of the day, I think that's really what carried you in this seed.
Now that's what's carried me for a lot of things, let me tell you. And yeah, it just happened to be fortunate for me in that way. But I mean, like the Ganon, the GT climb was about as bad could be. Hey, there we go. Finally, I'm back up, and there you go. There's my collection rate and stuff. But the Ganon's tower climb was about as bad could be. I felt like I just got trolled hard. And then I actually did have a gameplay in place. I wanted to, as far as the Ganon fight was concerned, I did not want to go for the 1-in-1. I basically, if you notice, I left it one hit short for the hopeful that I'd be able to get some sword spins either on the top left or top right corner, and figured I'd be all set squared away. But I kind of just got very lackadaisical. I mean, it was just kind of I guess you could say it was definitely nerves, because the heart was pounding. There was definitely a lot of nerves there, and yeah, I mean, I almost took a fall and panicked, and still was able to do it. So, and by the way, GG's to jmeasher.
Yes, GG's to jmeasher, finishing in second place now with an official race time of 1 hour, 50 minutes, 45 seconds. Once again, folks, get your GG's in chat for both these runners. They put on an excellent race. We'll see about getting jmeasher in here in just a moment.
Yep. And there we go. We are joined by jmeasher. GG's.
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 So this seed was kind of all over the place in terms of divergence here. Walk us through your routing.
Oh, was bad. I feel like it was everything I was doing was so slow, and I knew I was in trouble the moment I cleared out TR for absolutely nothing. Yeah, I don't know. Early game, I did all the sort of normal routing that I would usually do, and when you go Uncle route, you know, you obviously tend to leave escape. If you're unable to get a weapon to be able to complete it, you tend to leave escape. So that meant that I ended up getting hammer pretty late. And then everything is pretty standard there until I think I had done all of the, you know, Thieves Town, Village of Outcasts checks, and I think there were a lot of not great options at that point, so I decided to just sequence break the mountain. Kind of figured at that point that, you know, it might be something like the lamp is somewhere silly, like in Swamp or in Ice Palace. So decided to go up the mountain, and I mean, I had a lot of checks up there, but I didn't really get much for my trouble. I think the biggest problem for me is that I cannot stand Hookless Swamp. I hate it. I think it's a terrible play. 95% of the time, and then sometimes like this seed, it's basically the bottleneck that kind of opens everything else up. So it's a little unfortunate there.
Yeah, it doesn't help that you had access to this as soon as you hit Darkwood either. It was like
Yeah,
it was just like just come in here and clear me real quick.
I was like, as soon as I got Darkworld access and I went to Hype Cave, I was looking at my tracker and I was like, oh, I mean, I can totally get into Swamp now. Do I want to do that? No, not really. You figure surely you're gonna find the hook shot somewhere along the way, and then save yourself a terrible trip through that dungeon. But that's sometimes it'll burn you. Like I said, I don't feel like it's the correct play 95% of the time, but that 5% it's gonna bite you.
Yeah, but you guys just gave us an excellent race, so much divergence. I think the only things that were in sync from you in terms of where you guys were or checked was the uncle start, and then when you both checked the dam at the same time, but had different routes getting up to that point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and that I made a mistake early. I was trying to go to the hospital with no bombs. I was really uncertain about how I wanted to route that, and yeah, I ended up deciding after barely completing with the last of my bombs, mini Moldorm. I decided to go check Eastern. It's just I don't feel like I was on the top of my game today. Made a few pretty bad mistakes, but yeah, I think for the most part it really was just that swamp last location.
That's fair, and you were always going to places where there were density too. So it's like you were saying, it's one of those things where sometimes rando gonna rando, to overuse that phrase.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at it. I was like 4 or 5 items from go mode for so long there in the mid game. You just kind of expect you're gonna find one of those items. If you go up the mountain, do Paradox and everything that's up there. So yeah, like you said, it's rando. This stuff happens, and it's got to come back for the race tomorrow and do a little better.
Yeah, and it'll be do or die for you, I believe, Jamie, because once you're eliminated from the tournament, you're out, I believe. Yeah.
Yep. That's the score at this point. Best of 3s. It gives you a little bit of leeway, as opposed to any sort of best of 1 scenario. So it is do or die. I feel like we're, looking at what we had available. It was actually a really low percentage chance that we were going to get this mode. So I think it's pretty likely we're going to be seeing something like Boss Shuffle, MC Boss next time. Some sort of keys mode, but
I was going to bring that point up too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was going to say. Yeah, well, I was going to say. I think inverted keys is completely out. Tournament keys is on slim hope. Tournament hard is no chance. Yeah, so it's gotta be good old McBoss. It just has to be.
Looking likely. And I don't know what modes you played predominantly in the groups, but I came into this knowing that I had played one of everything except I think I played 2 tournament keys. So I was like, it's all on the table for me personally. But yeah, I think that's likely, and knowing the way this stuff goes, it'll be Ambrosia. So
yeah, probably. Yeah, no, for me it was weird. For me, I did not have whatchamacallit? I didn't have open keys, and I I think that was, yeah, I think I had one of everything else. I had the first one was McBoss, then I had Inverted Keys, Tournament Hard, and Ambrosia, and Tournament Hard again. Yeah, it was weird. I've legit not had open keys, and there's only a very fractional chance that we're gonna get that as of right now. So
Yeah, I think this has been very interesting and it's been fun to have all these different modes, but it does make any sort of, practice really, really dicey. Like, just having to kind of guess what is most likely for you to get and try to practice that up if you can. But either way, I mean, whatever we end up getting tomorrow, just gonna, like I said, gonna have to come back and tighten things up a little bit and just hope for a little more luck.
Well, hopefully you're able to pull it off. I believe that I'm looking at the schedule here. That is same time tomorrow, starting at 6:10, reaching to be determined, I believe.
Yeah, if we get a game 3, we'll figure it out. We don't have that scheduled yet, but
if we get that's not if we get a game 3. When we get a game 3, I got a really funny quote that I'm gonna put in when we do the scheduling, if you permit me to.
Well, I will do my best to accommodate you on that one.
Oh, you are I'm looking forward to it.
I just refreshed. You guys will be on SpeedGaming 2 on 6:10.
Ooh, nice. Look at us.
Yeah,
Which, by the way, real quick, just in general, to all the SpeedGaming channels, SpeedGaming volunteers, all the people that put on the main tournament here, and not even just the main tournament, but everything that's related to the Link to the Past randomizer community that SpeedGaming does put on. Thank you guys so much. I mean, this is it's an honor and yet somewhat nerve-wracking to be restreamed, and have people see, hey, this guy actually seems to be halfway decent, and then when he gets go mode, holy crap, he's terrible. So, but to everybody that takes part in this, commentators, trackers, restreamers, in this case, Tavarius and Wolflink, thank you very much for coming. Looking forward to listening back on this. To Homemade Beer, thank you very much for tracking. I don't know exactly who specifically the restreamer is, but thank you very much for taking care of this. This community is just fantastic, and looking forward to being on tomorrow on SpeedGaming 2, and myself and jmeasher will do our best to put on a good show for you guys.
That's right. Make sure to give these two guys a follow. They put on an excellent race for us tonight, folks. And we do have one more match on the schedule for you guys tonight, right here. At 10:40 p.m., we have JJO36 versus Mughal over on SpeedGaming 3. And that is the last of the tournament races we have for you today. We have races starting as early as noon. Yagamav versus Adster over on SpeedGaming 2. And Humbug versus Whale J. Bradley over on ALTTPR ALTTP Randomizer. So, yeah, if you tuned into that, make sure to follow SpeedGaming 2 through 6 so you don't miss any racing action, not just the Link to Past Randomizer. And, of course, make sure to follow ALTTP Randomizer and our ALTTP Randomizer 2 through 4, 6. I don't remember how many we have of those, because we also host races over there if we can get a crew together. And likewise, thank you for commentating with me, Various. That was a really good show. Thank you, Homemade Beer, once again for tracking. And for all of us here at Link to Past Randomizer, I have been Wolfling, seriously Suno. We will see you all next time, and thank you for watching. Have a good night, everyone.